think I got everything. Tell me when you're ready. Uh-oh. Yes? We're on? Hey, back up a little. You're a little close. Okay, good. All right, everybody. It must be Friday, and it must be 12 noon. Yes. Number one, happy Festool Friday. And you are at Festool Live for episode, believe it or not, we've been doing this for 12 weeks. Once again, I hope everybody's washing their hands. Number two, I hope everybody, including your families, are safe. Okay, great. Now, as usual, let's do a quick introduction. Right over here, we got Big D, Derek Clements. He's on our board. You'll see more of him through the Festool Live. Right here on the camera is my main man. He's our executive producer. His name is Chris Seibert. Over here is Brian Knudsen. He's on the whiteboard. And online, on chat, is our other trainer, Brent Shively. Also, another big shout out to our other producer. His name is Philip Schneid. Okay, now, I got a couple thank yous. A really, really big thank you to you as a viewer, because today's topic is one that you guys have been asking for, and I'll cover it, and I'm going to cover it by a big question that we get all the time in this topic. Also, because of you, we are going to continue with this on YouTube, even after all this COVID-19 pandemic stuff is over. It's been quite the success, and we're just really stoked to do this for you. And we're going to be providing trainings going forward with you. Okay, now, back to Festool. I want to thank our warehouse personnel, logistics. They are still picking, they're still packing, and we're still shipping to our dealers so we can make sure you guys have plenty of Festool, okay? But once again, thank you very much, everybody out there in the warehouse. You're all my friends. Okay, now, did I cover everything so far on the whiteboard, B? Oh my God, I'm getting halfway decent at this. Okay, so today's topic is going to be focused on the HK55. Yes, we have a cordless version. But our number one question, and please bear with me on this episode, because it's going to start out probably confusing. I'm going to go through it and make things clear. And at the very end, you'll say, wow, he kind of contradicted himself, but I know how to make the decision. When you're buying your first saw, should I get an HK55 or a TS55? So I'm going to compare them throughout the time, blades, tracks, applications, and we'll go from there. And I'm going to answer some of your other top questions that you have asked about the HK55 over the years. Okay, so let's get started. Really simple. If you came up to me at a trade show, called me on the phone, asked me on Instagram, what saw should I get, HK55 or TS55? It's pretty simple. I always will want to ask you a quick question. What are you cutting the majority of the time? Okay, so it goes back to this. It's all about your application. Once again, majority of the time. Follow me, please, on this, because I'm going to talk about a person who I had in class one time. His name is Rob. He lives in Jacksonville, Florida. You're probably watching, pal. And he said, Sedge, I'm trying to decide between either or. And it was a pretty simple. Once I asked him what he was using it for. He was rebuilding the deck for his boat on a seawall down in Jacksonville. Basically decking, 2x material. Okay, you need an HK55. But he also wanted to use it to potentially cut some cabinetry for his daughter. And I went, okay, so let's do a couple of tests. And we did, and he was satisfied with the answer. He bought an HK55. Will eventually he buy a TS55? It could if he gets more into cabinetry and furniture building. I think you're starting to follow me on this. So when I ask you what you're going to be doing the majority of the time, if you are a carpenter, you're a framer, you do siding, you do basic remodeling, you're putting together a stud wall, you're cutting a lot of 2x material, decking, okay? Then I'm going to say, hey, listen, that HK55 is for you. If you come up to me and you're a tradesman and you're a cabinet maker, you're a furniture maker, or you're sizing countertops, okay, perfect. Now here's where it gets a little fuzzy. I know a lot of guys who have a TS55 for decking, and they go and buy an HK because there's certain applications for both, and one's easier than the other. Okay, here's that part I told you was going to be fuzzy and confusing. So let's start talking about a few things. Okay, as we step over here, oh, wow. We have people from Mexico, Belgium, England, and the Netherlands. I love doing that, man. All right. By the way, thank you for watching. Okay, so here's our track, and you're going to see you have 2 ribs on here, and they're for clamping. Okay, this is where the TS saw rides. Good. Now, here is, and when you get a HK55, it comes with the FSK 250. But look at this. This is completely different. So one of the top questions is, hey, I got a TS55. Will it work on the FSK track? Absolutely not. But I have an HK55. Will it work on this track, the regular FS track? It will. And I'll show you that in just a little while. But let's look at this, okay? You're going to notice right here. It's all about the extrusion. I'm going to flip this around, okay? See this little T right here, okay? And this is you can actually clamp this now, okay, with one of our ratcheting clamps or screw clamps, okay? You're also going to notice that rib. You're also going to notice this. Listen to this, okay? It's basically a retraction and a bungee cord. You have this little tab, and that's how your HK saw locks onto the rail. And I want you to point this out. On the bottom, you have these neoprene strips for non-skid. You have a splinter guard, which you have to cut. You also have these 2 points of contact. And you'll see how I use this in a few minutes. This is a fixed point, and this is your variable point. You'll see how these work. But as I twist this green knob here, I can move it up and down. We have presets. You don't have to put in a preset. So if I have to do a compound angle, I can take this, set it at 15 degrees, and then tilt my saw, my HK saw. You'll see how all this is done. But I'll just put this at 0 right here. Okay? So there you go. Also available are a longer, oh, by the way, I just want to call it out, and I always write this down. I've done this since day one because it's a common question. What's my crosscut capacity at 90? On the 250 rail, it's 9 3/4. On the 420 rail, it is 16 1/2. And on the 670, it's 26 3/8. People will ask all the time, especially carpenters, why do I need a longer rail? It's when you start, you can do onesies, twosies, but man, when you start gang cutting raft details, this really speeds it up. Now, the best way that I have ever spoken about this rail, and the first time I ever saw the HK saw, I'm going to take my TS and put it over here. We'll be talking about it in a minute. Is basically this is always having one of these attached to the saw. Because the way you cut, normally with a regular 7 1/4, and you're going to notice this is the same size blade as the 55. Okay, it's a 55-inch blade. I mean, a 55-inch. It's a 6 1/4 blade. It's not your typical 7-inch, 7 1/4 blade. Okay, you know how you make a mark like this? Okay, when you're cutting something and you take it and you take your saw and your lineup. If you use your HK saw without the track, you see where it says 0? I can bring this right over to 0 and make the cut. Even if I use a Swanson square or a speed square. I always still call them Swanson squares. Okay? If my lineup is at 45, it's right here. Okay? What I like to teach people is when I'm using it off the rail, okay, instead of going like this to look at my mark, Chris, let's see if we can get over here. Right here is a viewing window. So I can actually take that and bring my blade right up to there, and I can actually see where I'm going to cut and do my alignment. That's if you're using it off the rail. Okay? Sometimes I use that viewing window or that sight window when I'm using it with the rail. You'll see in a few minutes. Okay? So there you go. Now, the other thing, too, really quick about the saw, you're going to notice a couple of things on here. There's no like tab here to move the guard out of the way. Check this out. Nice and safe. It's right here to move it out of the way. Now you're also going to notice this, and this will be a lead in for me to talk about the blades. Okay, you see this right here? That is the same thing, or does the same thing as the TS55 does. Right here, check it out. Okay, that is called a riving knife. Okay, and what that does is that keeps the kerf open when you're cutting case hardened wood. Okay, same thing with this. If I'm ripping with this, this will prevent the blade getting pinched with case hardened wood. And let's look at the number there. So hopefully we can get the light on there. It's 1.8 millimeters thick. So now comes the question we get all the time. It's simple. Okay, it says everything is said right on the saw. Now, the HK55 blades. Okay, you'll see right here they don't fit the TS saw, the track saws. Okay, because if we think about this, and I'm going to take this blade. This is the blade that comes with it. Okay, it's 18 tooth. Okay. And I could put that in to change the blade. It's the same thing, fast fix. You lock it. You got this, the arbor shaft locks, and you take the blade off. Okay. I put what I call my construction blade on there. It's a 12 tooth. It's a Panther blade because I'm going to be doing a lot of 2x cutting with it. So I put that on there, less teeth in the kerf, and I just take a 5 millimeter wrench. By the way, it's stored right here. Okay, it's the same size. So someone will say, well, can I put this blade, because it's thin kerf, on the TS55? The answer is no. Because what happens if you do that, this riving knife, see it's a plunge cutting, won't go down in the kerf, so it can be dangerous to use. Okay, because this blade on all the TS55 blades are 2.2 millimeter. They're a thicker blade. Okay, now comes the question back. Can I use a TS55 blade on an HK saw? You can, okay, but just remember it's a thicker blade. Okay, so yes, your riving knife will go in there, and oh come on, we're splitting hairs here. It's 0.4 millimeter difference, right? Did I get my math right on that one? No. It's 1.8 versus 2.2. 0.4. Okay. Oh my God, I can add. All right. Now, I'm gonna go back to where I started. You see this blade here? That's 32 tooth. Okay, that's the one I suggested for Rob to use when he was ripping and cross-cutting plywood. We did a test in here when he was in class, and it worked out well for him. And he used it with the regular track. And I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Okay. Now, we have this, and here's another question we get is, hey, should I buy a corded version of the HK or a cordless? Somebody say, hey, there's no differences. Yeah, there's one difference that I like on my TS saw is the corded version is variable speed. The cordless is not. Okay, so if you need variable speed in the saw, and guess what? That's another topic that'll be coming up later this summer is an advanced class in a TS track saw, and I'll go over the differences with variable speeds and when to use variable speed. Okay, so I'm just going to take this fast fix. I'm going to put my wrench back in there, so I always have it with me, and I'm basically ready to go again. Okay? On setting depth. You see the green right here? Look, check this out. Watch. I set depth right here. Okay, and it's pretty simple. Okay? So there you go. You have a scale here. I usually just eyeball it for the material I'm cutting. But FS, wherever it says FS, that's well, if we look at it and we think about it, check this out. This is full depth, okay? Okay, FS incorporates the thickness of the rail in it. Okay, so away we go. Oh, one more, right here. one knob, and you adjust it, and it goes from 0 to 50 degrees. So I'm giving you basically an overview of the HK saw. But let's make a cut. Enough blathering. When I take the saw and we look at the bottom, see right here, see the T? That's where that part of the FSK rail goes. Already answered? Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that everybody saw that in the chat, that you cannot connect FSK rails. Okay? See how that bungee cord lets it retract like that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick cut at 90. So, you know what really helps? If I have electricity. Let me put this on. It comes with an index swivel, and it takes the 16 gauge cord, the flat. It doesn't have a bump. If you try to put the bump in there, the one that has the bump on it, which is 18 gauge, it won't fit. So always in this training center, I always have 16 gauge cords out. All right, here we go. I'm going to take this, and look, we have the splinter guard because I've cut it. I'm just going to take it, and this is how I've done this. This is how I use it. You see that? I know. See how that's bumping up against there? And I can rotate my other my variable point in there. So when I make a cut, and I always try to hold the rail. You see how that retracts? So what if I want to do a 15-degree cut? I'm going to take it like this. I'm going to loosen that green part. I'm going to bring it right here to 15 degrees. Pretty simple. And I'm just going to take that. Now look, there's my fixed. My buddy Gil has that highlighted in red because it really stands out. And look, I'm just going to rotate it in and bring it right in. See that? Okay, now, here's where we start to get really cool with this. What if I want to do that compound angle? Okay, see how I just swivel that like that? Okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to hit it at 15 degrees. Yes, everybody, I know the questions that's coming. Okay, watch. I take my fixed, I take my variable, and now I get compound angles just like this. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about the question that I get all the time. Well, I used to get all the time. And here's where I go to where I first started using this. And somebody said to me, this doesn't cut 45. And I had to really scratch my head and say, well, I was cutting 45 day in, day out not too long ago with it. Okay, so hear me out on this. I'm going to cut a 45 on this. So let's take this and set it up. I'm going to take it like this, and I'm going to set it at 45. See right here? And I'm going to lock it in. Okay, and I'll actually do a compound angle with this. Okay, I'll take it in, I'll bring it in, and here's where maybe it's a little finesse. Maybe it's just knowing that I like to put my hand here, but I actually, when I turn this on, okay, and cut, I actually put pressure on there. Okay, and I'm just going to hang this up really quick. Ooh, actually, I'll just set her down. Okay, and someone will say, well, it doesn't cut all the way through. Well, you saw it drop off. What you're left with is this little nib. And if that doesn't matter to you, great. If it does, you could just take a sanding block and it basically disappears. Almost every framer I have showed that to has told me, oh, that doesn't matter. Okay? We were cutting, I think they were the I-beams, LVLs. We were cutting those. Not LVLs. We were cutting the, I always forget the name of them. TJIs. And we were cutting them. They're for people who don't know, it's the OSB with the 2 pieces of spruce. Makes an I-beam. They're basically larger joists for your house. And we were cutting 2-inch ones. And we were left with just a little bit. I broke it off. Think about it. It's rough carpentry. It's the joist in your house. That little bit didn't matter. But what was great is we used it with the longer rail, or the 16.5. And somebody said to me, do you know how much time that will save me? That's the name of the game with this saw. It's you, instead of you taking this, making a mark and cutting, we now have it attached. And the way I love to teach people about the HK is this. As I move it out, I bang it in here like this, And it's not about doing one. It's about gang cutting. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to set it like this. I'm going to bring it down to 0. And you can see, and you know what I'm going to do? Just because I'm going to take this off. Now, when I take this off, check it out. See the little tab? I move it like this and it slides off. That's how easy it is to change rails. And now I'm rocking and rolling. I got it at 0. And think about it, everybody. I'm gang cutting. Oh, no, let's take it and set it at, let's do 30 degrees, just like this. Look. And I'm cutting multiples. Just like that, as simple as can be. Okay, so gang cutting is where it's at. This is where it really shines. Okay, so we've talked about tracks. We've talked about blades. We did a brief overview of the HK. Now what I'd like to talk about, and you know what? Let's leave this here. Let's go to the cordless. Okay, we'll bring it right over here. I have a track that's set up here. Okay. Oh, let me unlock it. I'm going to unlock the clamps. Okay, and when I was setting this up, I want to make sure when I did this today, I was as clear as possible. The nice thing about the TS saw, and we can go in this in advanced trainings as we go through this, always remember this. It's always when we're plunge cutting, we have marks on our saws, okay, that allow us to plunge cut. Look at the cut I made earlier from point A to point B. So say I'm using the HK saw to plunge cut a skylight or a window out, okay? So always remember the marks on the saws. Here's the one for the TS. That's my entrance mark, and that's my exit mark. On the HK, as I set this up, and the way it works on the rail, I'm going to move this out here. I'm going to, Chris, come down here so we can see this. I'm going to take my clamps whenever I'm plunge cutting, if I can. Okay, say I'm using a regular track saw or the HK. I like to lock it in. Okay, that way that it's not moving. The other thing is when I do setups, the batteries are always off. Okay, so let's look at this. This is my HK the way I have it. I'm moving here the blade guide, okay? But I want you to notice this tab right here, this blue tab, okay? And what that allows me to do is when I put this on here, it allows me to take it and bring the saw up, okay? So when I plunge it, watch. It plunges and locks in, and then when I'm finished with the cut, I'm going to take my thumb or my finger. I'm trying to do this so you guys can see it, is I'll bring it back up. Where the TS saw, the plunge is basically in there. So when I'm cutting, I plunge it like this, I go with it, and I bring it up. Now, anybody who's ever plunge cut knows this, that you really have to hold on to it so it doesn't, kick on you, okay? Well, with the TS55, not HK, you get one of these. And everybody wants to know what this is. This is what we call a limit stop, okay? I'm going to actually use 2 today. And what it limits is as I'm plunging, I can plunge with one hand. As I plunge with it, it doesn't come up on me, okay? Because of this little tab right here. This is what locks on. It holds it in as I'm plunging. So hopefully we can see all of that. And the next thing I'm going to do, see how awkward this is? I'm going to get that right out of there. Because guess what? This has marks on it like these two. Okay, so let's do a quick setup. And I'm going to plunge cut with this so you can all see it. Okay, I'm going to get the guard out of here. Chris, come down here with me, please. Okay, let's look. You see this mark right here? Look, see that little indentation? I'm going to put it right there. And I mean, come on, you're doing a skylight. Close, you can get so close with this. Okay, but what I like, it's safe now. So if you're up on a roof with this and you don't feel comfortable and you're using the track, use the limit stop. I'm going to take it over here. Okay, and you see the front edge right here of that magnesium aluminum. I'm going to bring it right in there and set it up. Okay, I'm going to take this stop, and what this does, this just impedes the forward motion of the saw. Okay, whew. Now, you can hook up, and I did the HK55 To what? To the CT dust extractor. Yeah, because I have them in here. But we also have this, and you saw this in the TSC video. We also have these bags, okay? These bags go in here. Come on, guys, think about it. If I'm doing this outside on the roof, am I am I using a bag of dust extractor? Probably not. It has a directional dust port, which is really nice. That's how I hooked it up to the CT. But I'm just going to hook it up to the bag because Chris is going on vacation today, and he doesn't want to spend all afternoon cleaning up in here. Okay, you get that right, baby. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, see how I'm locked in here. I'm going to get a battery to it because it works really good with battery power. Okay, and away we go. Look, I'm going to take this. I'm going to start it. Okay, and I'm going to take that. Now, look how close I got. Here's what I'm going to show you. It's going to stay down there until I release this tab and bring it up. Okay, and there's your plunge cut. And going a little bit, I mean, I could have probably dialed it down a little bit, but my eyes aren't what they used to. But you see how you can dial that right in. That's your entrance point and your exit point on the HK55. Okay, woo! Wow, Poland has chimed in, Sweden, Latvia, Thailand, Malta, and that unbelievable foreign country. I'm just kidding. Canada. Hey, everybody in Canada. Woo! Man, you guys are awesome. Okay, I am looking around. We are almost at the end here. I'm looking to see if I forgot anything. I don't think I did. I think I covered everything. Brian, can you, because Brian's really good with this saw, can you think of anything? Okay, and he was writing questions up on the board, and Brent was answering them. So Brent, you're the killer addition to this team. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's do a wrap. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This is when everybody tunes out. But we are truly lucky to have you as our viewers, and we look forward to next week. And I'll give you a hint. It has to do with a router. Ooh, 10 million. Okay, everybody, that's a wrap. Anybody got anything else? Big D, anything? All right, everybody. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next Friday at noon on Festool Live.